Okay, episode 4. I don't know if I call these episodes. They're just short little videos, drive and talk about AI. The first one was kind of future thinking. The second one was like, here's what you can do now. The third one, the last one I just did, was future thinking, like the future. What could be the possibility of health interactions with AI, medicine and health, the health industry? Like what may be happening in the future? Just ideas and thoughts. It's not going to happen exactly the way I shared, but it could be like a lot of those things could be close at least. I want to give a little tip. So this is going to be a shorter video this time on ways to use AI now. I say use it when you're doing notes. Use a large language model like a ChatGPT and write your notes. Write your notes, write your questions, and don't just write them all and then hit enter and get a response. Get the responses often. Write what you're thinking. Write where you're at, write why you're writing the notes. Like indicate, like I'm thinking about this subject, or I'm at a presentation and this person is talking about this. I happen to think this and they think this, and here's a question that I have. And as they're talking to you, giving this speech, you have that possibility to also like check on a few things. Such and such, the presenter just said, talked about this story about George Washington. Can you give me the rest of the context? And even if you don't really have the full amount of time to read all of that context, you can peruse it real fast. And it's not necessarily that you have to be reading it all. And I know some people get this like, wow, if it's there, I have to read it all. I have to, complete this thing. And you could just peruse it. But what you're doing is you're taking notes like you would before. Do it how you would before. Or add in some of these little extra tips, like get a little extra understanding about a certain side topic. Ask questions. If the presenter asks a question, this has happened to me recently, and this is why I'm sharing these tips, is even going to a speech or going to a church and hear a speaker, they're saying something, and you're like, he said this, what do you think? And the AI will kind of give some thoughts, and you can give it, like maybe understanding your worldview a little bit more will help, because then it can give thoughts a little bit more along that line. Or you could say give the contrarian opinion, or give an opinion of like similar to it, like a C.S. Lewis or Neil A. Maxwell or something to that effect. And it's bringing in kind of those insights as you're talking about it. But I'm saying if you do these notes and write this stuff as you are listening to different things, it can be really an interesting experience. And it's like, wow, I want all my notes in one spot and all my place and my thoughts to be there. Doesn't mean afterwards to say, hey, I wrote a bunch of notes, I wrote a bunch of my thoughts. Can you organize what I said, not what you said, into a really nicely formatted document? Amazing. You don't have to transfer it all over to a document later, it's in there. Meanwhile, you got some really interesting things to think about from either questions or thoughts or responses to your thought, responses to your question, responses to your thoughts, responses to a quote that you heard the speaker say, and you're like, you just wrote the quote. He just said, quote. And you don't maybe even have to say he just said, it'll just kind of understand what's going on. So that's my thought on notes. And then what is the final format of it that you would like to see? That becomes part of the question, right? I tend to like poems, and I think that it's fun to share poems as well. That's part of why I like them. And so I'll just say, hey, take everything we just talked about and do it as a poem. Or make it a little more fun. Do it as a poem in the style of a certain poet, or iambic pentameter, or give a give a like you what you took away from that talk. It's like, I really think that this point that I just made or you just made is really important, and I would like that to be headline this talk. It can be pretty fun, awesome way to do notes, and that is my suggestion. I hope you enjoyed it, and it's a much shorter video this time, and I will talk to you later.